It's the defending national champion and number 1 seed Florida. That was incredible to watch. And, of course, St. John's, in a true buzzer beater, ends KU season 67-65.
A beautiful display of basketball.
What was?
Well, that was a rough watch, Kansas and St. John's. It got exciting at the end, but my goodness. Some defense getting played, I guess. And St. John's made a lot of threes, but they bricked some of the ugliest three-pointers I've ever seen in my life.
That wasn't very good offensive basketball from either team, but
no.
I mean, I guess you could call it good defensive basketball.
Sure, I guess. That's what you say then, right? You say, yeah, the defenses were getting after it. I don't know. How are you on the overall tournament? Have there been enough compelling games? It seems like we get.
There's too many blowouts, but there's been enough. There
was no reason to stay up last night.
There's some good games. No,
and there was no reason. Friday night, same. Right?
Look, if you get Kansas, St. John's, and then you get to watch Iowa and Florida, that was enough.
That's enough. You don't need them all to be good.
That filled your dance
And
card.
it was good. I got to go to sleep last night and missed nothing.
I stayed up and watched some basketball.
I didn't make it very long.
Yeah.
What'd I miss? What was the closest game last night?
I mean, not much.
20?
Not much.
20? But that was a tough one for Kansas. They were not good at all, and they were down 13, 15, something like that, and it looked like they were toast.
14.
14? 13, 15, somewhere in there?
Split the difference.
Right in there.
Somewhere right in there. 14.
In St. John's,
Stupid.
They helped a little bit. I thought if you were a St. John's fan, you lost the game, you'd probably complain about the officials. Looked like a bad over and back on one of them. Is that the most over and backs you've seen in the game? The most able to throw the ball inbounds?
No, that was a bad call.
At the end of the game?
That was a bad call, and they didn't have a good enough
look on the scrum under the basket.
Yeah, if somebody was out of bounds when they tipped the ball back.
But in the end, I don't know if I remember maybe once a year, if that, in college basketball, where a team actually has fouls to give and has to use that strategy. That's pretty uncommon in college basketball. Just with the number of fouls.
Like one. It's usually like one or two.
Yeah, you don't look up and you've played,
38 minutes and
38 minutes fouls. And they got 2 fouls
right
on the clock or on the scoreboard.
Bill Self is a Hall of Fame coach, and he backed up what they did with his comments in the press conference. But I didn't love it, and I certainly didn't love the execution.
Yeah, I basically said they didn't execute it well enough because who was in there trying to do it? The Cole Rosarios that were going to want to do the first. Is he in there practicing these things? This is not something they practice all the time. You got to be able to explain that situation quick to those guys and have them understand the deal. It's a tough spot to be in.
I don't know, man. There's part of me thinking that St. John's is struggling.
Yeah.
St. John's is feeling the pressure. I mean, at that point, Kansas had to be thrilled to have the game tied, and St. John's was the one feeling the pressure. We don't want to go to overtime. We thought we had this game won. And I thought, I don't know.
I thought it was incredibly stupid to foul after 5. Once you get to 5, stop fouling. I thought it was incredibly stupid to foul up to 6.
Yeah, because then you have no.
Then you don't have any leeway on playing defense on the last possession.
Yeah,
because that's your advantage if you're only at, say, if they don't foul after 5, if you're at 5 fouls, you can still play aggressively,
right,
and get called for a foul, and it's not, they don't go to the line.
You don't have to lay off at all. Because in the back of your mind, if you have 6 fouls in the back of your mind when you're defending, I can't foul here. Now, if you don't have that 6th foul call, you don't have to think, I can't foul here, because if they happen to call a foul on you, okay, well, now we have 6. But it just, for me, it was incredibly frustrating.
In St. John's, I don't think they were making good decisions. I think they were on their heels.
Throwing the ball backwards.
They were on their
heels.
heels.
Throwing the ball in the four.
Well, I'm talking about before that. They were reeling, and Kansas had tied the game.
Minute.
And I think it just removed it oversimplified everything for St. John's. It removed
hecticness.
Yeah. Hey, we just got to get the ball and go, and that's it. Like the point guard, like Rick Pitino said, he called power. He called his own number. He said, "We don't have time to do this. Just get me the ball and go." And that takes all the doubt of what you're going to do. Making a bad pass, this or that or whatever else. They put him in a situation where. And I know the guy hadn't scored, but still, you get the ball in the point guard's hands and you go. Mm-hmm. And I guess it took years and years and years for this to happen, but Kansas got Tyus Edney on that one.
Finally, after all these years.
I mean, that right? Was it somewhat similar shot?
Yeah. Didn't have to go quite as far, but it's the same thing. Yeah.
But you use all those fouls, and you still give them too much time to pull that off.
These kids are so fast anymore. The Florida-Iowa game, plenty of time to go down there. And then they shot the ball so fast, they gave time back to Florida
and I was texting
to get a full shot off.
I was texting back and forth with Jarrett and people that know more about basketball than I do. And even Jared said, I get what they were doing, but they didn't execute it the right way. They left him too much time. And also, that question about after 5 fouls.
Yeah, don't do it.
And then also, if you did get to overtime, but don't go, you got him his 4th foul.
Yeah. Well, that's what they had the other guys
couldn't have been part
for.
of the grand plan.
But see, this is the whole point. You don't practice this all the time. This is not a scenario you go over.
I'm
sure they've done it. I'm sure they practice it, but it's not like, every day you practice this. And then the guys who they had in the game, because he was looking for anything to do, you got to tell Rosario, listen, foul him, but let 5 seconds. They could have let him get all the way to midcourt.
There's also another side of the story, the St. John side of the story. In a physical game like that, it's amazing that Kansas only had 2 fouls that late in the second half. Boy, that's fortunate, isn't it?
Disciplined defense.
Or wow. Because when I saw, wow, they only got 2 fouls.
Yeah.
Huh. They've been playing some clean basketball in the second half.
Disciplined defense.
I was not surprised. I had it in my bracket. I didn't think Kansas was a good team that was going to make a deep run. And I thought when they were down,
way to pile on.
Listen, they weren't that good this year. They have to be one.
They finished 3rd in the Big 12. They were pretty good this year. They were pretty good. They were top 25.
They weren't Kansas good. They weren't what we were back in the day. Listen, here's what I'm going to say. This team beat Arizona. It beat Iowa State. It beat Houston. It beat all those teams.
It was inconsistent. They were super inconsistent.
They got crushed by Cincinnati at home. They had these it's got to be one of the weirdest years I can remember.
That's not fair to call them a very good team.
They're not a vintage Kansas team that I thought was going to do anything. That's just my opinion.
But to say they're not a very good team is not accurate.
It's my opinion.
They're a pretty good team that got knocked out by a better team.
I don't know if St. John's is a better team. They're both kind of weird teams.
St. John's is a better team.
Yeah, St. John's is a better
team.
The
crazy thing about Kansas is that they did all those things. They beat Houston. They beat Iowa State. They beat Arizona. They beat UConn. Right? These teams are all still playing. They beat them all. But they did it all at home. They couldn't find a way. Didn't they beat UConn in the
St. John's?
No, Kansas.
No, they lost to UConn.
They lost to the UConn.
They lost to UConn
at home.
Yeah.
But they lost to UConn. They beat those Big 12 teams that are really good. They played Duke, lost to Duke, whatever. But here's the thing that
to defend Leabo, go look at Scott Pollard's mentions, him fighting with Kansas fans about how all these different people are telling him this season was a disaster and this isn't good enough and it's not up to. I think that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's not up to your lofty and unreasonable goals for Kansas.
For Kansas,
it's disappointment.
For K-State or Missouri or Oklahoma, this would be a fantastic year. Kansas year.
Disappointing. It's a disappointing year. I'm not saying that.
This is 4 straight years we've been sitting here and Kansas hadn't made the Sweet 16, and they've been a
and
7 seed.
What happened right before that 4th year?
I'm not talking about that, Jake. I'm talking about right now where Kansas is. I'm not talking about history.
They've won a national championship. They won a national championship.
They did,
but they haven't got out of the opening weekend.
They haven't won this league since these other teams came in here. They have been a 4 seed, a 7 seed. It's just not what
It's
Bill
disappointing.
Self's.
I'm not saying it's not
You're the one who
disappointing.
told me you were going back to the cabin.
I said I
you
hate
started to
sports.
care about sports again.
I hate it.
I'm not.
I'm not saying.
Look,
And I don't think anything needs to happen. Anything. I'm just saying you something is different in college basketball. These
Everything's
days.
different.
It's
Not
all
something.
different.
Everything's different.
I mean, Carolina's going to fire their coach. He was in the national championship game 2 years ago, or 4 years ago, whenever Kansas beat him. It blew a 16-point lead. UCLA is trying to scrap back. Indiana, even in the tournament. I mean, these old blue bloods. Kentucky, 7 seed, gone.
Look,
had to kick.
it's
Had to
very
shoot a
simple.
miracle
I
shot in
asked-
Santa Clara. It's all different.
I asked everybody. Oh, it's college bat. Everyone's playing under the same rules. This didn't.
Yeah, but they weren't all playing under the same rules before.
Well, no.
That's my point.
KU's advantage is gone from that aspect.
That's what I'm saying.
It's what you call you go around the halls calling the Adidas advantage. That's gone. But I asked everybody. It was a Kansas guy. You have what we've been told is a generational talent in Darren Peterson. People have compared him to Kobe Bryant on this show, and we sat and listened to that.
Not me.
Okay, but have people?
Yes.
Okay, have people put maybe some unrealistic comparisons and expectations upon him?
Yep.
Yeah. And so I asked everybody, with Darren Peterson, what needs to happen in the tournament for this to be considered a success or a good season versus a failure? And the minimum I got was, well, Sweet 16. Sweet 16 or Elite 8. Had one person say Final Four. Well, they didn't get there, so then what is it called, in your opinion?
It's a disappointment. Absolute disappointment.
These kids who are the stars, let's just go through the last 20 years of this. Carmelo won it all, okay? He was the number 3 pick of the draft, a freshman who came in and played. Which other one of these can't-miss generational guys? Kevin Durant, I think they won a game.
Yeah, they got knocked out in the first round.
I mean, Michael Beasley,
Not
I
the
know.
first round, the second round. They made
Michael
it
Beasley's
the
team
first
won a
weekend.
game.
They lost in the first weekend.
Yeah.
They
didn't
won
make
the
the
first
Sweet
game,
16.
and they round of 32. Durant did.
Zion Williamson didn't make the Final Four. Cooper Flagg, they make the Final Four. They missed the Final Four. They made the Final Four last year. Lost to Houston. Is that correct? Houston beat them. But it just doesn't. We've been all waiting for this, another one of these Carmelo, storybook things to happen, and it just hasn't happened.
Maybe you're focusing on the wrong guy. Maybe it's
Maybe
the
it's
kid
the
from
team.
Houston. Maybe it's Acuff from Arkansas.
Well,
I mean, there are other freshmen that you're watching that are incredible, that are living up to the hype.
The most expensive freshman.
So you're just picking the one that's local around here.
Well, the most expensive freshman was A.J. DeBansa.
Okay.
And they didn't win a game. Right? So there's and there are times this year. One of Kansas, I think maybe they had a few amazing wins this year. The win when they came back against TCU, Peterson was a part of. He was in and out of the game, whatever. But I think the most impressive thing they did all year was beat Arizona at home when they found out an hour before the game Peterson wasn't going to play. So this team, without Darren Peterson on the floor, was good enough to do great things. And I think if they just would have never had Darren Peterson, they would have been a better team. Or if they would have always had Darren Peterson, they would have been a better team. But the way it worked out is the way it worked out. And you can't predict the way these things are going to go.
Bruce Pearl said that that Darren Peterson held Bill Self hostage.
I don't know if he held him hostage.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little aggressive.
But getting those guys on your team, in a way, I don't like the term being held hostage, but it makes you coach, organize, plan things differently than you might have another way.
Sure, but you want that guy on
You
your
want
team.
the guy on your team.
You do. Here's the. It's stupid that he's playing college basketball. The NBA needs to allow a guy like him to go straight to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
That's the argument. I mean, like, these guys are meddling. They're just playing 1 year. The NBA they need to allow guys like him to go straight to the NBA.
Yeah, but who's going to choose guys like him when everyone thinks I'm as good as him, and then they don't get drafted?
That's not my.
It's
That's
just,
the,
it's all of it. I know. Hey, this NIL stuff's been great for college, for these kids. to make money and to do that and not have to go fail and get out. I mean, I don't think he would have failed in the NBA or something like that.
I'm saying, do you think Darren Peterson, if he could have gone straight to the NBA, would have been drafted and probably have been all right?
Probably so, yeah.
Okay. Well, so it's not that hard to tell then.
Well, there have been plenty of guys who went as freshmen who didn't do all right, but I think he would have been all right. But then again, I thought a lot of guys.
Is there a chance he's not as good as everyone says he is?
Absolute chance he's not as good
100%
as people
there's
say
a
he
chance.
was. And listen, it's unfair to call anybody Kobe Bryant. You know what? And if Kobe Bryant had played a year of college basketball, they probably wouldn't have won a national title either wherever he was. You know what I mean? It's just hard to do. You know? You're not the only guy on the floor. Right. And Syracuse wouldn't have won one without other guys on the team.
Jerry McNamara, new Syracuse coach, as I predicted last week.
Hakeem Warwick and all these guys. And a lot of those guys had played together for a few years. You know, that's the worst part about what college sports is right now, especially at Kansas. Kansas has not had any consistency. You know, the soundbite last week from Hunter Dickinson about the people who weren't happy last year on the team. Right. Maybe some of those things, and this is the part of just, this is a great big overarching theme of the world. There are toxic fan bases, and it's the spoiled ones who have been good forever. And it doesn't take but 4 or 5 people to be toxic online for it to be the biggest thing in the world to a 19-year-old kid.
But also this narrative, like the super freshmen aren't successful. So like we're just looking at the guys in the Big 12. I mean, the best who's the best player in college basketball this year? Who's going to win National Player of the Year?
Boozer.
Yeah. What's he?
Freshman.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Well, we got to see if they make the Final Four. They were in a dogfight with Siena.
But he was the best player in college football or college basketball.
I know he was. And the kid at Arkansas too.
Kingston Flemings.
Flemings.
The kid
Darius
at Arizona. Yeah,
I mean
Arizona point guard.
So we're just like using Darren Ball. This doesn't work. Yeah, it does.
But we'll see where they go.
But
we'll see where they go.
I'd like to have one of those guys.
We'll see.
Missouri's going to have one of those guys next year.
They had one of,
he's also
going to
be coached by Dennis Gates, and so we'll see how those things work against each other.
We're sitting here right now today talking about it, and it's fresh because Kansas lost. Peterson was good yesterday, wasn't great. You know, he had some awful moments yesterday, some ugly shots and things like that. But without him, they were toast yesterday probably. And I think the Arkansas kid has been fantastic, and they're rolling right now.
He's awesome.
He's awesome.
Acuff is awesome, and he's probably a top 10 pick.
But they may fail and not make the Elite 8. They may not make the Elite 8, and Duke may have a loss in front of them, and they don't make it. And so these things can happen that way. But we may get all of those teams in the Final Four, and it could be the freshman year of the Final Four. But I don't know.
They're just one of them, and if one of them wins it,
it's been a long time since one of them won.
There were many other freshmen that were more successful than DeBonsa and leading their teams further than Peterson.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the preseason ratings, they were 1 and 2, and these others were 3, 4, 5. That's what these ratings are about. You got to pick someone who's the best, and it's very rare you go back and the very best player was the guy who was the best forever in all the sports. It's just the conversation point. Disappointing loss for Kansas, but it was amazing the way they
only
came back.
Jake can tell us if it was.
He said he's disappointed.
Oh, I'm still hurting.
He said he's going back to the cabin. He quit caring about sports.
It hurts.
Chiefs can't make the playoffs.
It hurts.
He was done 5 minutes into the game, and then they sucked him back in.
Right.
And that's what hurts.
It is.
That's the worst part.
Do you think Bill Self's coming back?
I do. I know there's a lot of people that don't.
Let's play that whole chunk, that long one.
Let's break first.
You want to break first? We'll break first. Come back and play the whole thing.
I respect the clock.
I put it all
doesn't.
together, and we'll just let people judge what they think.
Yeah, we should take a break. Time's
precious.
Well, I just didn't realize that we've been talking about this for a while.
We call a bunch of timeouts.
You got some fouls to give?
Some fouls. Foul, keep stopping the clock.
Let's
foul.
Stop at 5.
Hey, it's Kansas. We haven't had a foul yet. This foul coming up.
Stop at 5.
And we're going to talk about Missouri, too.
Oh, I can sum that up real quick. In March, Dennis Gates gets outcoached by everybody.
Everybody.
Sometimes himself. He gets outcoached by everybody. Prove me wrong.
I cannot.
They've had such beautiful setups in the NCAA tournament. They were playing a 15 seed in the second round. They were playing Drake in Wichita and had a home court advantage, or at least a healthy, group of people supporting them. They had a gigantic home court advantage against a mid-Miami team. It took the lead with 7.5 minutes left, and then as soon as they took the lead, gave up an 11-0 run. What you got to hope is Dennis Gates can recruit such a high level of talent
he won't matter.
Starting next year that his coaching won't sink the ship. Or he dramatically changes as a coach. Because in the last 3 years, they have been terrible in March, and in the NCAA tournament, we keep seeing him get out-coached. And that's not just coming from me. That's coming from people that understand the game of basketball far. But I don't have to. You guys can figure out who I talk to and who I'm texting. It's painfully obvious. That team doesn't have an identity. The team the offense it runs an eyesore. And now I'll say this and break. He's leaving the program. He seems like a good kid. I know he's a father, and so he seems like a good person on and off the court. I'll never be able to tell you why Jacob Cruz played so much. Either in the conference season, you got to play somebody, but in that game, because he couldn't hit a shot, and he just can't play defense. And so, other than that, I don't know what you're looking for, because he could not hit a shot, would not hit a shot, and that's been the case since the non-con. And let me tell you, he cannot play a lick of defense. Every once in a while, he'll come up with a hustle play that apparently Dennis Gates becomes enamored with, and then it gets him another 5 minutes out there. It's like a video game. You eat the golden coin, and you get 5 more minutes, extended time. So, it's like 4-on-5. And I'm texting other people like, tell me.
Why is he out there?
I want to hear it. Tell me why he's out there. And then I'll say, oh, that's a good point. And every person I text, I have no idea. Can't hit a shot, can't play defense, don't know. Like, okay. All right, talk to you later. See you next season. So it's like, okay, there it is. Thank you. So there's my airing of grievances. Was that measured? Was that all right? No, sure I don't. No, I don't. But it's just what it is. But now this is what I expect. I get built up and they collapse in March. Now that's his thing now. Mm-hmm. I think over the last 3 seasons, he's won 1 game in March.
That's all of March. That's regular season.
Yeah.
SEC tournament, NCAA tournament.
If you want to look it up? I want you to look it up.
Tweet.
But I want you to come up with the numbers for me.
It's 1 and 14 or something.
Something like that. Jake probably is not even aware of that stat.
He is now.
Over the last 3 Marches.
Not good.
Can't win a game in March. Regular season, SEC tournament, NCAA tournament. Nah.
He won his first tournament game, though. Remember that?
Right. Well, I barely. And then what happened?
They got beat by the most points a 15 seed has ever won a game by.
Yep. You better believe it. All right. But you know what? This isn't about Missouri. This is about Kansas all day today. This is about Kansas.
Hey, baseball starts this week,
This is the headline, the Kansas.
Friday?
Yeah.
Friday baseball. It's baseball season.
All right. We'll take a break.
Baseball for the next 3.5 hours.
I got 12 of my 16. Sweet 16.
I'm going to grade your brackets live
12
on the air.
12 of the Sweet 16.
I got 10.
You were in first place.
I was.
You were.
I was.
And I got all my Final Four still intact. So
Jason
I'm
Anderson just sneaked past you. I haven't graded all of them because I wasn't up for all the games
I
last
had some
night.
good upset picks early.
As
There weren't
terrible,
many, and you were getting them.
as terrible as my first day, the worst first day of the tournament I've ever had, I've rebounded nicely. I have 12 Sweet 16 teams alive and all 4 of my Final Four.
You won some money on the
that's-
Jayhawks yesterday too.
We don't like to air that, but if you as soon
Live bet, baby.
as soon as St. John's hit that first 3, I was on DraftKings and I saw it change Kansas plus 6.5, and I said,
Thank you, sir.
Cha-ching, ba-boom, ba-bing, and I got it.
Bam, and it was never in doubt.
It was solid. No, what do you mean it was in doubt? It was 14. 14. What a stupid
Dumb
impulse. What
am I doing?
Then I locked in.
I bet
knew
Kansas on the
knew
early 10-point lead. I bet Kansas on the money line because I thought they'd come out
You
hot.
give me Kansas.
I was way wrong.
And 6.5. I'll do that every game.
Every game.
And it'll even out for me. I'm fine with it,
Just
right?
fine.
Yes.
As soon as I told Jake, hey, I just got him to 6.5. He's well done. And it was well
It
done.
was well done.
We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB.
And now the second shot to give Florida a 2-point lead, and they do. And here we go. 8.9 to play. Sturts with the catch. Sturts bounce pass to the corner. Fulgaris for three. Oh! 9 to play. Condon will inbound it to Lee. Lee across midcourt. Lee speeding toward the basket. Lee leaves it underneath. That's it! Iowa, for the first time since 1999, will head to the Sweet 16 as they knock off the defending national champs.
Good for Iowa. Because let me tell you something. I cannot stand Todd Golden, and I don't like Florida. And I wanted Ben McCollum to go over there. And hey, look, I'm not here to condone violence, even though I feel like I'm pushed to sometimes. For one time, I wanted to see Ben McCollum go over there and smack Todd Golden right in his face. And now that makes me a bad person. And I'm not proud of what I just said.
You said it, though.
You like Todd Golden? Well,
No.
You know what? Yeah.
I do not.
Partner up with him, buddy.
Nope.
It's a very frustrating experience to watch your team play against him and his bitching and complaining for 40 straight minutes. That's 40 minutes of hell watching him on the bench. So good for Iowa. And that is, I'll reveal the list later. We can all have fun doing this. We'll rank the Sweet 16 games. That's my number one Sweet 16 game.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa and Nebraska.
Go Mike Boddicker.
That's a hell of a game right there.
That's fun stuff.
Go Ben Sturts.
I'll look forward to that. I bet you that atmosphere is going to be through the roof. Where's that game at?
That game.
You tell me right now. Come on, Mr. Know-It-All.
Is whatever that region is.
Yeah, there it is. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds
Should be the
good.
South, right? Houston.
Hey, listen,
It's in
Nebraska
Houston, right?
won 2 games when they never won a game.
Isn't it in Houston?
I don't know.
I'm looking
It's
it
in
up right
Houston.
now.
It's in Houston.
I think that's right. I kind of lost track of where the games were after all of our teams are out.
Houston, D.C. Who are the 4 regionals? San Jose and Chicago. It's in
I've been to San Jose for a Sweet 16 game.
Kansas.
You've been there
would've gone
for
to
an
DC.
Elite 8 game.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you
I
don't?
remember the Sweet 16 game.
Why don't you remember it?
Because after
'Cause all
the Elite
delicious
8 game,
sushi he ate.
I got I stuffed myself with sushi and got
San Fran.
drunk on sake.
San Fran has great sushi.
And it was, let me tell you something, this sake was strong, brother. And I was with some other Mizzou fans.
You a hot or cold sake guy?
That night, both. I was running hot and cold, buddy. Let me tell you. Took some public transportation back to the hotel.
The BART, they call it the
and
BART.
then hilarity ensued.
I do like that that is at the regular-sized basketball arena in Houston, too.
The
I
Toyota Center.
like those much. But, boy, Houston gets to play at Houston? Wow. Man, they
Yes,
earned
Look
that.
how these,
Yeah.
look how
Yes, Todd.
Jake's just
Right in there.
Todd just realizing things. I even told him earlier. I said, "See, this is why I picked Houston to go to the Final Four."
Right.
And then silence, and then he just wraps his head around. See, you like that pick now, don't you?
Iowa State up in
Look at me.
Chicago. I
Look
like
at me.
that, too.
Do you?
You're just not
Michigan
tuning
and
in?
Chicago. It's
Ow.
going to be something.
Okay, time to be a truth teller.
Gonna
You
be
ready?
something.
Are you ready? Look at me. Don't look away, because I can read your eyes.
It's gonna be something, Steve.
That's 7 straight Sweet 16s for Houston. 7 straight Sweet 16s.
It's impressive.
Are you like very happy for the success of Kelvin Sampson, or do you long for him?
Both.
Because you should long for him.
I long for him, but I
There we
also am very happy for him.
You should be,
Yeah.
but you should also long for him.
I've been telling you that for years.
He's never coached at Missouri, and I long for Kelvin
Yeah.
Sampson. Let me tell you, I long for a lot, buddy.
He was in Oklahoma City this week.
I long for more
Back
than
close
one.
to home.
I long for more than one tournament win in 15 years. Is what I long for.
I love Kelvin. I
All
love
right.
Kelvin when he's there. Let's play this whole chunk. We said we'd play the whole chunk. This is not the game.
Let's play the
stuff.
whole chunk.
The whole chunk. This is the.
Set it up.
It's got a question on it, so this will get how the whole thing gets kicked off. But then I put all the questions together, so they didn't all happen consecutively. They kept coming back to the part about Bill Self's future.
Houston's made 7 straight Sweet 16s. That's the one to let that. That's pretty damn.
And they should have won the national championship
Right.
last year. They let that
Okay.
slip away.
There, go ahead.
They still got it this year.
Yeah, they got a
Yeah.
shot.
And then
And they by a freshman, huh?
they got
Craziest freshman's actually still
well, they
playing.
got a lot of guys on that team too. It's not all about that.
Oh, Kansas got a lot of guys too.
When are these
Wasn't Derek
freshmen-
Peterson by himself?
Houston's
When
got
are
some
these
guys who've been on
freshmen
the
ever gonna
team
win it?
before. And Kansas doesn't have anyone who's been on the team. That's part of the problem with Kansas. I think Bill Self would like to have some guys on the team
Watch
for
this.
a few years.
Watch it.
No, don't do it.
You want to see it?
Don't
You
do
want to see it?
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yeah.
What do you think of the decision to take Cole Rosario out and put Marco Jackson in there at the end?
Stupid. It's real stupid.
You don't have anything else to say about that?
I
What-
don't, I
He
don't-
wants to play this
come on,
soundbite.
no.
You're
I
gonna make
want
him
you
mad.
to tell me it's okay to criticize once in a while. Do you agree
I've
with
been
that
critical.
decision? Did you agree with that?
No.
Aaron Swartz did
that-
not agree with it at all.
No, but that wasn't the biggest problem.
Okay,
there.
but I'm
that wasn't the
asking
big.
a
I like
question.
that. I
Did you like the defensive approach in the last play?
I have more problem when they took that sixth foul. I was losing my my mind.
Okay, play the chunk. Play the chunk.
Okay, playing it.
I want you to settle down now. Play the chunk.
Given what you've gone through on and off the court, how much time will you take to reflect upon what is next on this stage of your career?
Well, I haven't really gone through much on the court. I've gone through some stuff off the court, so I'll get back and get with family and visit and see what's going on. I love what I do. I need to be able to do it where I'm feeling good and healthy to do it, fairly well. So I'll get back home and it'll all be discussed.
Sam McDowell, Kansas City Star. Bill, the previous answer you had, I just want to make sure I interpret it correctly. You haven't decided about whether or not you'll coach next year yet?
No, I haven't decided. I'll get back and visit with family, and I've had some obviously some issues off the court health wise, and that'll be discussed. But I love what I do. I want to feel good while I'm doing it, though. So we'll get back and we'll discuss that when we get back.
We haven't asked you in a while. How are you feeling? Are you going through anything now? Or are you
I'm
completely healthy, or what?
I don't know about completely, but I'm feeling. I feel as good as I felt in a long time. So and I'm not making any statements whatsoever. But every year, I think it used to be you work when you get to be done as long as I've done it. I look at it in 5-year increments. Now I'm probably looking at it more in 2-year increments, so to speak. So I've tried to focus on this season and trying to get us to a second weekend, which we failed at. So I'll go back now and break it down and see where that leads.
Think he's coming back?
I do think he's coming back, but he clearly said there a couple of times that he hasn't made his decision yet, which is new. Generally speaking, when you talk to these coaches, well, I'll be back if they'll have me. Like, who's going to fire you? You know what I mean? Those kind of things. So there is a choice to be made, and I don't think it's generally been that in his career. Is there a choice to be made? But your health is a real deal, and I think he looks better than he used to because he's lost a lot of weight because he's on this diet and all this stuff. But even with all of that, he had 2 episodes this year where he had to go to the hospital. So, that's this guy's not 75 years old. He's still a young man. And if you don't feel good, and if your doctor tells you the reason you don't feel good is because your job, and that's one thing if you have to work and do that job to put money on the table to, buy food and stuff like that, it's not the position that Bill Self is in. Guy's got enough money to spend in multiple lifetimes. So then there are plenty of coaches who are like, listen, I'm going to do this till the wheels fall off. I'll die coaching. And some others just eventually are like, I don't think this is great for me. I can't do this anymore. I got to find some way to scratch the itch. And you see a lot of these guys doing TV, radio. You never lose a game when you're doing TV or radio.
Oh yeah, and I mean Norm Roberts said it last week when he was on the show, right? Mm-hmm. I go home from the studio and I don't have to worry about losing any games.
Yeah. Now you miss that part of it, but can you find your way to do it? I mean, gosh, remember when Bill Snyder retired the first time, whatever it was, he could not find something to scratch the itch.
But I have a feeling Bill Self would be like that.
I think he is, because I remember going over after Bill Self's first health scare, And the first time they made him available to us, we went over to Lawrence, and we were just talking, and we were asking him questions about, what'd you do? He's got a place in Florida or something, right? Everyone's got a place in Florida. He was down there and woke up and went for a walk on the beach, and he came back, and he's like, well, now what? You know what I mean? He had a big now what? Like, what do you do now? He's not ready. Some people can sit there and just go for a walk on the beach and sit outside and get the little sun on them and stare and read a book and be happy. I don't think Bill Self's that guy. I don't think so. But I don't know. And I think there are a lot of factors at play. One, I think the most important factor at play is how he feels, how his body feels. And if you don't want to be going to the hospital a couple of times a year while you're doing your job, you know what I mean? And the other side of it is, and I think this is the side that brings him back, is we just talked about this for 30 minutes. They have not been as good as they were at Kansas. And he wants to be the best. This guy is driven to win, win, win. And these last 4 years, they were a 1 seed and lost in the Sweet 16. And then since then, it hasn't been vintage Kansas basketball, winning the league, being a 1 seed or a 2 seed and all that stuff. And he's not going to go meekly and say, well, I don't want to do this anymore. That's not him. He's I'll take the challenge and go figure out a way to do this.
That's why I think he'll be back.
That's why I think he'll be back, too.
How old is Bill Self?
63.
I mean, he's not even eligible for Medicare yet.
Okay, alive in the Sweet 16 right now. Coach Cal, 67.
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin Sampson?
He's 70.
70.
Yeah.
Rick Barnes?
He's 71.
71.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo?
He's got to be 70.
71.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Rick Pitino?
Oh, he's 70.
104.
73.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
For the narrative, well, these old coaches, they just can't figure out a way to get it done. Well,
There's quite a few of them in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Now, there are some of the best old coaches we've had who are a little bit older than those guys who have just said, I'm out. You know what I
right,
mean?
but it can be done. I mean,
it can absolutely be done. Absolutely be done.
But really just Coach K and Roy, right?
Jay Wright walked away.
But Jay Wright's, he's probably Bill Self's age. He's probably not 70. He's probably 60s. Some of these guys have
Bruce Pearl walked away, but
who knows?
Yeah.
seems like he loved to pay players.
I was going to say, well.
And rat on people. And
And it might have been a great opportunity to get his son a job.
Yeah. Well, it's, and hey, who's he going to tell was cheating if you can't cheat anymore,
Wow.
Boy, that's funny.
Play the clip I sent you of Jalen Rose and Jamal Mashburn talking about that final play. By the way, you would appreciate this. I don't know why. It made me cry. I was watching, what night was it? It was Friday. Jalen Rose and Jamal Mashburn in studio, and Jalen Rose talked about how he almost went to Mizzou. And he mentioned Rich Daly.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
he said,
Detroit connection.
he said, he goes, oh, really? You almost, because they were previewing the Mizzou game.
Yeah.
Or it might have been halftime. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, back then, you would look to see where other guys were from Detroit and from Michigan or whatever. And Mizzou had a pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
And he started reading off, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
Doug Smith there?
Yeah.
Detroit?
No, but he talked.
Byron or Nathan Bunton.
He read off like 4 or 5 games. He goes,
they got put on probation because of it. Yeah.
And he said, I took my visit to Mizzou, and that was one of the schools that I was considering.
Yeah. If he would have been about 2 years older, he'd have been at Mizzou. Because that was when it was on, like 89.
But he talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
It was really interesting. I'm like, oh, man. But Mizzou was getting,
Oh, yeah.
they had that connection.
Led to probation.
I thought that, look, there were some studios, like people that were in studio for the NCAA tournament, and I watched, I thought, this is awful. This is an awful collection of talent here.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who I liked a lot? I liked Jalen Rose.
I do like Jalen Rose.
And I like Jamal Mashburn.
Yeah.
And I thought they were very good. And I thought, like, this is what you always look for, right? You look for an interesting perspective and good, strong opinions and the backstory. Yeah. I thought that Jalen Rose and Jamal Mashburn were both that.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed listening to them talk about everything. And this is Jalen Rose and Jamal Mashburn talking about that last possession where St. John's won the game.
But that was terrible defense.
Yeah.
And respectfully, that wasn't Tyus Edney blowing it up the court either. And so for a couple of defenders to miscommunicate, have their back turned, like they literally taking the ball out on the side, you literally should be standing there facing that way anyway. It's just unacceptable defense.
Yeah, you could have stunned and got back and had enough time, and they just a straight line drive. That's something that no coach wants. To me, that's paying attention in late critical game situations to the scouting report and also time and situation. Very disappointing for a program like that. They've been through a lot, Kansas, throughout the year with Peterson being in and out of the lineup. They felt a little disjointed to me at times. So, but give a lot of credit to Coach Pitino. He's done a masterful job of rebuilding that St. John's program.
But that was terrible defense.
Yeah.
That was Jalen Rose talking to Jamal Mashburn.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree with what they said, Jake? I mean, you know.
No, I fully agree.
You can't get blown by.
By the way,
they expected that kid to go do that.
Programming note, we were expected to have Pete Sweeney on, and then Jake let me know that we weren't going to have him on, but now we are going to have him on. Big Pete Sweeney.
Oh.
The original Pete Sweeney. He's going to be on at 7. We're going to take a break? You want to do it now?
Let's do it now.
All right.
Let's do it now.
Let's Pete Sweeney's father, Big Pete. Senior joins us. Big Pete, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I guess I'm better than you guys right now.
Well, I'm not a Kansas fan, and neither is Leabo. So you got to.
I'm fine.
Focus this on Jake.
It's just me, Mr. Sweeney.
You focus all this.
I'm crushed.
I will let everyone know that Big Pete is. You're a St. John's fan, and you used to take Little Pete to games when he was just a boy. Is that right?
That is correct. I used to coach Little Pete from the time he was in pre-kindergarten up until junior year of high school on the CYO team.
Bam.
So you were heavily invested in this game. What did you think of that game between St. John's and Kansas yesterday?
First of all, the shooting was horrible. The whole game.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Too many three-pointers in the beginning. There's no driving the ball anymore, and I think that hurt both teams. Kansas could not handle the pressure with the out-of-bounds from the beginning of the game on.
No doubt about that.
It was just horrible. And supposedly they practiced that, so they didn't practice too well. I think a big turning point in the game was in the second half. Kansas was in the 1-and-1 from the 7-minute mark till the end of the game, and they didn't draw a lot of fouls after that. That was a huge thing I was worried about at the time. That Peterson kid was invisible the last 5 minutes of the game.
Jake just brought that up. Yeah.
What?
Jake just brought that up before he came on the air. That's exactly right.
Yeah, he was invisible for all the hype he gets and whatnot. I don't think, and I think another big thing was the turnover factor. Kansas had 16 turnovers, and it turned into 18 St. John's points. And they only had St. John's only had 8 turnovers for 7 points for Kansas. So I think the defense and really rattled the Kansas squad. Other than Council was great.
Yeah, well, Council's a 25-year-old kid. He'd been through it.
Bringing the ball up and breaking that press once he got the ball in his hands. He was a big factor. And I think another huge thing was at the end of the game when Kansas had to do the fouls to try and waste the clock so St. John's didn't have a lot of time. I was surprised that Council wasn't covering Darling instead of Jackson on that play. Council was pretty quick. But I give St. John's credit. Pitino had that play set up, and he seemed like they had the kids ready for those fouls coming against them. And if you notice, he opened the floor up, and the whole middle was wide open for that Darling kid to beat one-on-one, and Bedinga couldn't get over in time. And again, Peterson was invisible on that play. You know, it seemed like he checked out once the game got down to the end there.
Can St. John's beat Duke?
You know what? I think they can. Pitino is a big factor, and Ejiofor and Pitino seem like they were joined at the hip. I know Ejiofor was with Kansas at one point.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but we got Hunter Dickinson, so that's all right. You know, good riddance.
Yeah, Pitino's taken a real liking to this kid, and I think Ejiofor is all in with Pitino because I know you guys probably don't see a lot of St. John's games, But you can see in the huddles, Ejiofor and Patino were talking to the kids in the huddles.
Mm-hmm.
So he's all in. And the kid is a smart kid, too. He won a lot of Big East awards, student athlete, all that other stuff. But I do think St. John's can beat Duke. And then you have UConn and Michigan State. I think they can beat both of those teams to make it to the Final Four. So, and the game is in Washington, D.C., which is a 90-minute drive for me. So
you're there. Let's go.
Are you going to go to that? You make your son get you tickets. Are you going to go to that game?
My son get me what?
The tickets. Have your son get you some tickets to that game. He's got connections.
Wait, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Hey, what kind of ball player was Pete?
Yeah.
Pete was a good player. You know what? I was very fortunate. I wasn't one of those dads who volunteered to coach the team. I was my high school team won a New York City Basketball City Championship in 1979.
All right.
So I know my stuff, and I had good coaching throughout my younger years in grade school and whatnot also. So I wasn't some volunteer dad. So I sort of pulled out the whip, and I told the kids it's my way or the highway, and I had parents on my side and the whole deal. So he was a good player.
Well, did Pete win anything?
Yeah, did Pete win a championship?
We made it far in the playoffs, for CYO, and I didn't have the most gifted kids, but I had the smartest kids on my team, believe it or not.
So speaking of coaching, so what do you think of 73-year-old Rick Pitino rebuilding St. John's to the point now they're in the Sweet 16 against Duke?
Well, SSJ, if you remember, Pitino was with the Knicks back in the day in the 80s and whatnot. They were nothing after they won their championship in 73 until he got there. So he's pretty good. He's a pretty good teacher, and he's well respected. He's a Hall of Fame coach. You know what I mean? It's something that you have to respect the guy. He's on that Mount Rushmore of coaches here on the East Coast, I guess, because he was with Providence. He coached the Knicks. He was at the other places. I think he was
been to the Final Four everywhere. He went to Kentucky. Went to
Kentucky. Right, that's what I was thinking.
Done it all.
Yeah. So he knows what he's doing.
Louisville.
It's very simple.
Any final comments for Jake on that game yesterday before we let you go, Pete?
Yeah, Jake, I'm two things I just want to say. Thanks for the time. Really, nice of you to have me on for all this time. I'm hoping if Peterson and Bedinga are available, that the Knicks take Bedinga.
Okay. All right.
I don't think he'll be available.
All right, we'll see. We'll find out.
And secondly, like I've been saying, for a while, and you guys have been hearing this for a while. Tell the Jayhawks to bring their game, not their name.
Wow. Woo! Unbelievable.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Pete.
Getting it from you, too, Senior.
I love it, Big Pete.
Man.
Well done. That's Big Pete. Thank you, Big Pete.
He just walks off with that
Big
one.
Pete Sweeney.
Go to the game Friday. Come on, Pete Jr. Yeah. Get your dad some tickets. Get tickets.
Be right back after this on WHB.
Oh.
Come on, Jake. You got to give Big Pete some credit.
Yeah, that's a great call.
It's a very solid phone call from Big Pete Sweeney. All right. You know what else is wonderful besides that phone call? Delicious Joe's Kansas City barbecue.
That's a great call.
That's exactly right. And, hey, look, I told you on Fridays during Lent, if you are looking for some delicious options, look no further than Joe's Kansas City barbecue, because they have a couple of options for you on Fridays during Lent. And let me tell you something, they are delicious. When you talk about the soft shell crab or the shrimp po' boys, available every Friday until Easter. You could choose between a soft shell crab or fried shrimp served on a toasted bun with Joe's coleslaw, sliced tomatoes, and their house-made remoulade. And get a sandwich in your choice of side for just $15.99. And, of course, Joe's always offers the smoked portobello mushroom Z-Man all day, every day as an additional option. Wonderful barbecue and great options on Fridays during Lent. It's Joe's Kansas City Barbecue. And when you stop by Joe's, tell them SSJ sent you.